catch a game last night?
The Phillies game? I saw the score. I was a little busy while the game was going on.
Just a little bit, as well.
Yeah, it's fair. I expect that.
Yeah.
Be disappointed if it wasn't that.
Coach, any updates as far as just health? Is everybody good to go except for Damien?
Yep, everybody's good to go. Minor bumps and bruises, but everybody's good to go.
Curious, you had a lineup with Durant at the 5. I know it wasn't a lot of possessions, but he was out there, and Davis was the big for them and stuck with it. Why do you like that look with Durant at the 5?
Yeah, just like having flexibility. Having a little bit of a hybrid identity is something that I hope to achieve. I don't know if we have the exact personnel to do it. My Indiana teams were big 100% of the time. My Lakers teams where AD played half the time at the 4, half at the 5. We'll mostly be our team. I anticipate will be mostly playing with a true center. But there's times throughout the course of an 82-game season where a small lineup is required, and you want to take a look at it.
One other thing I have is when you go back and watch the film with the guys, what are things that you're like, okay, maybe that was better than what I thought, and then maybe that was not as good as I thought it was when I was actually watching last night's game. Watching film from last
overall
night.
Or with that
just
lineup?
Overall.
Well, I like that we kept the Lakers out of transition and we kept them off the glass. Like if you can dominate your transition defense and limit them to one shot, even if your half-court offense is mediocre. Your half-court defense is mediocre. You're still going to have an elite defensive rating that's going to give you a great chance to win. And the board differential, I think, allowed us to have 17 more shots than they did, and that's something that that we want to highlight.
Nas had one of his more confident offensive games, and obviously a very physical, lengthy defender. Just what stood out to you about his game so far?
Yeah, he's more than capable offensively. Knocked down a shot when it went under a screen. He's a confident catch-and-shoot player from three-point range, and plays extremely hard offensively. So the cutting, crashing, and all those types of things are good. And we know he's an exceptional, tough-minded defender. So a really strong two-way player. It's going to help us this year.
We saw Keon get some first-half minutes as well. What did you see from him in his time out?
Yeah, I just like he's got the ability, I think, to be an elite guard defender. His ability to fly around, his quickness, his recovery speed, athleticism. You saw the one block he had on the kid that was coming to the basket, but working to contain and just really gets all the way up to the backboard to contest and block a shot. Obviously he would need time, in the structure of our system to get all the nuances down. But I think he has exceptional defensive talent, and he can play the other side as well. So I'm high on him.
When Eric was signed, a lot of the reaction, like, there's another shooter. When Grayson got here, there's another shooter. But we've seen what those two provide for you guys in terms of rim pressure already. Just how have you liked that added element to the game where it's not just going to be those three guys providing that to your team?
It's those three guys can all attack and they can all play off the basketball, but they also bring great gravity. So you have to have guys that can take advantage of that, in whatever way that we're talking about, whether it's our rolling bigs, or like you said, Grayson and Eric being able to penetrate the pressure on the rim and take advantage of that space. And if there's an overcommitment, be able to spray it out to those guys. So those guys have been really good.
Yuta is another one where you guys have not been afraid to let him get off the dribble for a couple bounces and go into a pull-up jumper. Just the confidence level you have in him in that part of his game.
Yeah, he's a great offensive player, and he's a heady defensive player. Gives great effort and is always in the right spot. Had our highlight play of the defensive film this morning was one of his early low man helps on a LeBron post up. It's something we had highlighted early that morning. About how we wanted to guard and give low man protection on post ups. So he follows everything we're asking him to do literally. And like you said, shooting the ball off the bounce is something that's capable of as well.
Coach, how good was it to see the bench there in that second half when they left their starters in to start the second half and they went on a big run to finish the game throughout the whole entire season?
Yeah, I mean, I was just excited about the level that they played at. You know, we had a really lengthy ball containment segment of our defensive film, 9 or 10 straight clips of just guys working to move and keep their own guy in front of them. And I think that group in the third quarter, really had a bunch of those. It's a preseason game. You know, their starters come out against our reserves. You know, there's always going to be that kind of dip in emotion, so I'm not going to overreact to that. But I like how our guys competed. You know, I was very happy with that.
Frank, how'd you feel like you guys did against the AD matchup, and what did you learn about your team just playing against a player?
Yeah, it's a lot easier coaching him than coaching against him. I can tell you that. He's a handful, and it was actually a great preseason game for us because D'Lo and Austin and LeBron as handlers with AD rolling the basket, and that's as tough a cover as they're going to get. So they beat us a bunch of times, and that when you get beat like that forces us to tighten the screws on our coverages, and how we're going to try to limit guys like that. So it was a good test for us.
To you, is he sort of the archetype right now for what defensive bigs in like the next 10 years have to be and what they have to master with the way the game is changing?
Say that again?
Is he sort of the archetype to you with the modern NBA defensively as like an anchor and a 5 with all the responsibilities that they have to have with how the game is changing?
AD?
Yeah.
I mean, he's pretty ideal at the center position in modern NBA.
Seen a clip of or somebody talking about LeBron having to out-coach a coach. And obviously, he worked with you, when you were there in LA. How does it feel going up against a guy who's trying to out-coach you and you basically trying to outsmart him in that sense?
Yeah, well, I did it for years in Indiana, and that was it's always a challenge. When you have that level of an IQ player out there. I enjoyed it when I was with him, and now it's time to go against him again. He's as good as there is, maybe has ever been, in terms of trying to compete, from an intelligence standpoint with the opposing team.
When you look at just this season and you coach a championship team, we're going into this. Do you go into it? Okay, we should win a championship. We're going to compete for one. How do you have that mindset? What kind of mindset?
I think we have the ability to, and we have to, how our cohesiveness comes together, how healthy we remain, how much work we put in, how unselfish we are, how committed we are to the defensive side of the ball. Like all of those factors, will dictate whether we are able to win it or not. But I don't look like it like, we should or this and that. Like a lot of things have to line up. For you to get that gold ball, and but there's always a starting point of where you're at, and I like our starting point as well, as well or better than anybody in the NBA.
Thank you, Coach.
Thanks, Coach. I've been guessing, so hopefully I've been guessing right.
Yeah, I mean, Nassir is both acceptable. But you gotta have the soft S though. That's the most important part. Soft S.
The Nas thing does make more sense.
But it is
now.
Nas.
It does, yeah.
So, yeah.
First, how would you assess your preseason in terms of how you played and what you were hoping to bring early?
Yeah, I thought I did pretty well. My biggest focus was just trying to get acclimated to the team, understand how to maneuver, throughout defensively, offensively. That's kind of was my main focus, and just getting accustomed to everything in the organization. And as the preseason went on, I got more and more comfortable. And I feel in a good spot right now.
How has it been playing with the combinations? Because you've been on several. So how have you made that adjustment each time you've been with a new group?
It's definitely different. You can definitely feel the rhythm kind of alter from unit to unit. But just being a star in your role, doing the same things, bringing energy, playing defense, rebounding, shooting when you're open, that stuff remains constant. So just trying to do my part regardless of who I'm out there with.
That shooting when you're open, is that something you getting more comfortable with?
Yeah. I've been, obviously since I got in the league, that's something I've always been working on. Shot the ball well last year, so I'm just continuing to do that now.
How's that process been, learning to kind of find your spots with a whole new group of teammates on the offensive side?
It's a little tough. It's a little tough just trying to figure out kind of where guys like that, they can all score in isolation, Book, KD, Brad, kind of figuring out where, they want you to space at, having those conversations with them, like, when you're here, where you want me at, when do you want me to cut, the timing, things like that. So as we've been playing together, as we've been practicing, it's been getting easier. It's been getting more, having more flow with it as well.
With those three in particular, you mentioned the communication. How important is that for guys of that caliber to be letting other guys know, like, okay, here's where we can find you for cuts or
Yeah. It's super important because it helps each other. If somebody's trying to ISO and you're just standing in the corner and your guy's able to help, it makes their job a little bit harder. And then if you're not cutting at the right time and they don't know when you're cutting, they don't know your timing, they can't hit you at the right time. So by kind of being on the same page, it allows them to make plays for you, but also give them the space they need to make the plays they need to make.
The dribble pull-ups were a big step forward for you last year. We saw another one last night. For those of us that didn't follow the start of your career, can you talk about how much that part of your game has grown from year one to now?
Yeah, it's grown a ton. That's a good point. I've just continuously got better year to year with my shooting, especially getting to my mid-range, something I work on a lot, something that I'm capable of doing. Just taking what the defense is giving me. From my first to second year, had over a 10% jump in my three-point shooting. So just continuing to try to be more consistent with that stuff and just trusting the work.
Guys like you, Josh, and Jordan, with your length, strength, and physicality seem like perfect fits for Frank. Does it feel that way on the floor when you're playing the defense that he wants?
Yeah, and especially I feel like when we're in the game together, I feel like we kind of feed off each other's energy. I feel like our defense, kind of takes a jump up. So that's just us being stars in our roles.
How much does it help with who you're guarding in terms of improving on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, going against, some of the best scorers in the league, in the world is, definitely a good way to sharpen your skills. So day in, day out, they continue to make me a better player. So let's keep grinding.
How did it feel to go against two teams, the Lakers and the Nuggets, there, playoff contenders? What did it feel for them with this team?
Me coming here, I'm from Portland. It's a different feeling. Being able, to actually compete with these teams and come out with wins like last night. Playing at a high level, it's a different level of focus that you got to have. But it's been good to just kind of get a little matchup, kind of see where we're at heading into the regular season. Preseason is preseason, but I think it's a good litmus test to see where we're at. And I think we're in a good spot.
Where do you think you guys are at?
I think we top of the West, towards the top of the West for sure. I think something that people didn't account for is I think defensively we're better than probably most people assume we would be. I think we're a lot deeper than people probably assume that we are, just looking at it first glance. So I think we got the pieces that we needed to be successful.
I know you've seen it before, but we saw Drew Eubanks with a dunk on one end, blocks on the other. Just what does he bring to the table in terms of that verticality?
Yeah, Drew's my boy. Super athletic, high energy player. He makes the right play defensively, offensively most of the time. So, with him, in the pick and roll situation, I know y'all seen last night he was making the dimes. That was the evolution that I didn't know he had. So, I think him adding that to his game and making the athletic plays, the rim protection is going to be big for us. So, as long as he continues to do that, it makes our jobs easier, and we'll be able to get wins with that for sure.
How fun is that when you have two bigs that you're familiar with, and Yusuf and Drew, that can both make those passes to cutters?
Yeah, it's super fun, and it makes the game easier for everybody. It's quick hitters. Nobody has to. The ball doesn't stick around. You just hit the bigs and make the cut, and you can trust that they'll give it to you. So it causes us to move with purpose, so our offense doesn't look stagnant, and I think it just makes things way more smooth.
He credited the cutting, not his passing.
Hey, man, it takes two to tango. So I'm going to give him some love for that.
So how much should having Damian Lillard the past few years help for you coming over here in terms of spacing and everything?
Yeah, it's a little bit different just because the amount of firepower we have here. But with Dame, we developed the chemistry, and knowing that when he drives, he commands so much respect from the defense that there's a lot of open cuts. There's a lot of open spot-up threes that you can get. So just kind of being able to play with him, seeing how defenses load up on star players, kind of taught me how to be successful in those situations.
That's all I got.
I appreciate y'all.
Thank you, guys.